You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket, when unheard issues get brought to light and every perspective counts. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
Hey, it's Sunday night in Lincoln, Nebraska, 7:01, I guess, 7 o'clock on the nose. Good job, Jake, for getting us in here. Hey, Aniko, how's it going?
It's going. It's snowy and going.
Snowing and going. Okay, yeah. So we had snow yesterday. This is Walk the Herd with Aniko, Rebecca, and Jake tonight, and it is just about 1 hour post volleyball game, post game or post match coverage. And unfortunately, our Lady Huskers did not win, but man, did they play an incredible game.
Beyond incredible. I have nail marks in the palm of my hand, and watching them still smile through the parts that I was on the couch stressing about just shows their love of the game. So that's what I took away from it.
I was so stressed. I was like, okay, I want to eat, right? That's what I do when I'm stressed. It's like, wow, I'm stressed. How are these women playing? And last week we had Mandy Monson on, who does our volleyball post game or post match. But hey, shout out to Tanya Tucky Dorn and Nathan tonight for doing coverage. But Mandy was with us last week, and we were talking about exactly this: women in sports and what it teaches you. And for me, the question has always been, how on earth do you deal with what we're dealing with tonight, which is a massive high-profile game and a loss? And I don't know how these athletes do it. I really don't.
I think they have to somewhat still look at it, yes, as a loss, but as the way they play together as a team has to be a win. The season for the seniors has to be a win. Their perseverance through every, bump, set, and spike is a win to me. So right. I'll be the half full for them tonight.
I'm very half full too. I have very little empathy. I'm one of these people that I wasn't born with the empathy gene, but when it comes to these strong women, like you and I were chatting about what we're going to talk about tonight, and I love the concept of talking about families and what we learn from all these different kind of family structures that exist today. Walk the Herd's about different perspectives. So we're always wanting to talk about things that maybe you don't hear about. But whenever I see strong women, I have an incredible amount of empathy, and I'm jazzed. And yesterday on the morning show, which I do with Business Builders with Matt Warner, we were talking about the volleyball game the night before, where Texas A&M was playing Louisville and we were playing Kansas. And one of the things I said I love, and I don't know, I just love it when the girls do the chest bump, when they've had a great play or score, whatever. And I'm like, oh, you just rock, So yeah, I'm all about the women. They had so many great plays today, and both teams. Texas A&M was phenomenal Friday night, just unbelievable against Louisville, another great team. And they were, near perfect tonight, right? It's just one of these things. I was listening to the press conference afterward for both teams, and lots of insight from that. But I mean, when you look at them, Aniko, what are you thinking about with these women in these sports?
I wish that I had real magic and could just make it be and make it so, because I've seen firsthand what Huskers women do on any playing field they're on, and the fans. It's such an astronomical difference to many parts of the country where women's sports don't get the support and don't get the complete outpouring of love that the Huskers fans are. So I wish I could change it for them, because their drive and their ethic matched winners. So,
right. And it was funny. Danny in the press conference was talking about how much respect the players have for each other, right? You're playing an elite team. So at some level you're competitive, and at another level you have to have respect for everyone on that court, because they have reached this incredible level. And she was talking about one of the plays where they felt, you could tell they wanted to reach through and high five each other.
Yeah.
Play where one just crushed the other, but they were both great, one of those things. And I'm sure that, sometimes you do look at the other team, you're like, wow, that was just an incredible play, incredible show of athleticism or whatever. But yeah, my takeaway was just incredibly athletic and unbelievable. And in the post-match or in the press coverage for Texas A&M, and Jamie Morrison, their coach, was talking about, rightly so, the props you give Nebraska for putting volleyball on the map, along with other teams. Yeah, but that they aspire to have a fan base like Nebraska and a track record like Nebraska. I mean, of all the things that Nebraska has, this is something that's really cool. And I think really cool for you and me, because we have a lot of passion for, strong women and just helping women get a leg up.
Oh, definitely. And Nebraska fans are doing things that even WNBA fans are like still aspiring to,
right,
which is so wild because you consider the stages, the exposure, the promotion, but it's like, this is the goal. This is the example. This is the headway. This is where they need to look.
Right. Right. And then, so if you, hopefully everybody listening actually watch the games in the match, but in set 4, it was just, it has to be one of the pinnacles of all volleyball. They went 37-35 to win that set. Nebraska did. They were down 2, and then they won the third, and then in the fourth, it was just back and forth volley, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to get it this time, and then they wouldn't. Oh my gosh, 37-35 to win the fourth set, to go in with all this momentum, right? But what an impressive feat for them, just that volley back and forth every 1.1 point.
The amount of match points. I was listening to the stats while watching the game, and I was like, whoa, 21?
I know.
That's like crazy. And all you keep hearing is like how phenomenal the Huskers are. Like the stats are just, it was almost like the announcers were borderline in disbelief too. Like, well,
you're an announcer at some point. I'm like, I don't want to talk. I just want to watch this crazy thing, right? You're like, okay, really? Do I have to say match point again?
Right.
Oh my gosh. So phenomenal. If you happen to miss the match, you need to go back and watch this. Unbelievable. Both press conferences were phenomenal. And Becca Alec, I remembered after Friday night's game, was saying how excited she was to play these guys because of the level of competition, and all these athletes are competitive, and she was just destroyed tonight, as you can imagine. But one of the things she said was, I just want to be with my family. And that'll be an interesting topic for us as we segue out of sports and into what we had planned to talk about tonight.
Yes.
However, I did kind of want to recap from the conversation we had with Mandy last week. I don't know what you remember. But for me, one of the things that is really important about women's sports, and certainly at the level that Nebraska and A&M are playing, and certainly Pitt and Wisconsin, I think I got it right, for who's going into the next rounds, is just what you learn when you're playing sports, right? So sports, you learn teamwork, but dealing with this kind of pressure in an athletic sense, to me, is another way of learning how to deal with the pressure of life.
Yep, the skills transfer. That's what she was saying. The resilience and the way you show up doesn't change.
Right. And one of the things I remember asking Mandy, and I thought it was interesting, because this situation really is what just I feel for, being married to a coach, the other half of this, the Ticket family here. You see, especially with where DP coached a lot when he and I knew each other at the high school level, where these kids aren't as mature, and just watching the heartbreak, but also watching the fun of winning, and how you're teaching them to get past some of this stuff, right?
Definitely. Easier to dust your knees off, get back on the horse, whatever metaphor it may be, you got to do it. You just do it. That's why Nike did a great job picking that, because just do it,
That's true. And Mandy was saying also that the structure and the repetition, right? You kind of get used to the pressure because you've done it a million times. And one of the hardest things has to be, these guys have not lost a lot. So that makes it, you don't want to get used to losing. Who the heck does?
Right.
And, there is something to repetition, experience, and in the business world, I think about, having to, I don't know, just discipline somebody, coach somebody, one of those situations. You don't really love it, but you get better at it when you've done it a lot, right?
Absolutely. And I think that can tie into the other things we were talking about, parenting and being a mom. That's how it is when you're trying to correct. A lot of times with correcting comes repairing, where you take that, step back after the game or after they go to school and you're like, I could have said that better. I really could have made this move or been less defensive, like in sports terms, but you genuinely establish a rapport for them as well, knowing, they're going to apologize if they hurt my feelings or admit that it wasn't my fault. And those are important steps as well. So it really does all tie together.
And I'm sure the parents of all these athletes that played tonight are just like unbelievably proud. And certainly the ones the captains who are on display and having to talk after the win, right? You feel the excitement and the joy of beating a Nebraska, right? Quite something to say you beat Nebraska. There's just a whole level of pride and excitement from doing that because of the legacy that the program has, but also listening and talking, hearing Harper Murray talk, who's had some ups and downs here in Nebraska, but man, she was polished. She was just super on message and very authentically. And while Becca was struggling a bit and Harper was there, to cover that. But anyway, it was awesome. So hopefully you all go back and watch it if you didn't. And if you saw it, then you know what we're talking about. Just these amazing athletes. Shout out to these ladies. They are unbelievable. We're proud to represent them here at the Ticket and in Nebraska. And
here in Maryland.
Exactly. And the next few games in Kansas City will be unbelievable. So all right, great. I think let's I wanted to get Jake's take on sports on the volleyball game. Just as we bring him into the conversation, we're going to talk about family structures a little bit and hopefully have some fun with that, because all three of us have not random, but we all have different family structures and we're all living in different ones currently than kind of what we grew up in. So should be fun. But what was your take on the volleyball match, Jake?
Oh man, it's so unfortunate. Obviously, you go undefeated throughout the season, and so you get to one of these tournaments, you're like, oh my gosh, are we almost due for a loss? But they went through Big Ten play, only gave up one set to UCLA, and that's where it was kind of crazy. And that's kind of what I expected was, okay, maybe one of these teams along the tournament will take a set from us, and then you get to the Final Four, and then you get your big challenge. But it all just kind of came in at once at Texas A&M. Once they won those first two, we're in pole position to win it. Nebraska, we say that all the time in sports when, you dig yourself a hole. So it's one thing to crawl back out of it. And it's another thing to crawl back out of it and then win the game on top of it. So it was just but incredible. I mean, obviously no shortage of effort, no shortage of emotion and all that, their preparation, anything like that. So, they bled their hearts out. They played a really tough season, near perfect, but that's why perfection's so difficult.
And yeah, the odds are against you, I guess, at some level when you just keep winning and winning, right? Like, as you said, you always wonder if the shoe's going to drop. And they did have some illness and just things that could, one little thing, when perfection is what you need, one little thing can throw you off, right? Just one person who's out or one person who's off their game or whatever, because these guys are playing at such perfection type levels. So you can really appreciate it when you see these close games and these incredible athletes. So yeah. Okay, great. Well, let's talk a little bit about, as I said, Becca had mentioned her family, and that's really where she wanted to be. And I think it's a great segue into her family. They just did an article about her family, and she has quite an interesting one of her brother, of course, was here and played basketball. She has a twin sister who plays in another program. And her family has been through some trauma. Not that we're going to talk specifically about that, but she has a unique family setup, and she's obviously very close to them, and she just wanted to go be with them. And that's what her family has built the go-to for, to want to be with her family in a difficult time like this. So I thought we could kick off and talk about how we all grew up, because it's, to me, it's entertaining just because we're all from different places. So I'll go ahead just because I get to set the stage for what I think is the cookie cutter lifestyle that the country, I don't want to say was built on, but is very systemically built in. Okay, is what I'm going to say. And you guys can challenge me on this. And I think you know what I'm saying. So I had one brother. I had both parents growing up. They stayed married whole time we were growing up. My mother was a stay-at-home mom for most of that time, and my father worked. We were middle of the road. My dad was in the Navy. My mom was the Navy wife, doing the parties and writing the cards and all that kind of stuff. And my brother was older than me, and we got along great. There was no fighting in the family. There was no arguing. It was all legit. It wasn't, there was no need to argue or anything like that. So it was Leave It to Beaver. For anybody who knows the Leave It to Beaver show, I feel like that's what I grew up in. So I'm putting that out there because I think growing up like that gives me a lot of conversation ability around the cookie cutter systemic world that we don't live in, but that's what I knew. So until I met other people that didn't grow up, and even in my generation, parents weren't getting divorced. You didn't have too many blended families. You occasionally had that. You very rarely had, in my circle, I'm going to say, in the places where I traveled and went and did things, you didn't have a lot of people that maybe had biological parents and non-biological parents or whatever. So my worldview, at least until I was old enough to be exposed to something else, kind of came with that. So that's my start. All right. Do you want to go, Aniko, or Jake, do you want to go? Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I grew up in a single parent household for the most part, but I did have a heavy hand. We both did from my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. So you could call us multi-generational. I think that gives you a daily dose of resilience. You have a daily dose of patience. 3 generations, teaching each other, putting up with each other more or less, back in my day being very much a thing. But when I even spoke to my grandmother about this episode, she was saying that we're so able to build off of each other's skills with us being all different generations. We're allowed to take from each other and build upon. So I think that complicated, but good. I'm now a single mom myself with week on, week off custody, which is very common now. A lot of times it is in the best interest of the child to have both because of said values, like you said, and said stability, having mom and dad, whatever that looks like. And frankly, I am grateful because 1, it gives me a lot of one-on-one developmental time. Mm-hmm. I very much know my child's needs, his likes, his wants, to be able to cater. But 2, I also get a break. Every other week, I get a break, and I don't take it for granted. So it's different, but different isn't bad. It's just a different set of skills, I think. Jake, what about you?
Just coming from a similar to Rebecca, a nuclear family, 5 siblings total, but mom and dad were married throughout the whole time, and not that that doesn't come with difficulties, which I can appreciate now more as an adult. Right. So that can always be difficult, but so here in Lincoln, Nebraska, pretty simple, I suppose. Just siblings and 2 parents.
Where are you in the pecking order of siblings?
I'm the second oldest. I was 1 year younger than the oldest. Yeah.
So, all right. So you have 5 kids in your family. It's got me and my brother. He's older than me. And Aniko, you have a sibling that you grew up with.
Yes. Well, kind of. He was born 2 weeks before my 13th birthday. So he was almost like my first baby, kind of. Okay. He embraces that. But yeah, I have a brother who is going on to be 21 this year, which is bananas to me. So it's cool watching him go through the college phase and working and really finding himself. It's awesome to see as an adult. So,
right. So one of the things I'm going to ask Jake this, and then I'll ask you this. So one of the things, again, I get to just say it. It's as Leave It to Beaver, nuclear basic as you can get my world. I didn't have to share anything. I had my own bedroom. I didn't have hand-me-downs. Of course, it was my brother. So, I did kind of sometimes wear his hand-me-down sweatshirts and things, but it was cool, I think. But I didn't have to share anything. I don't remember sharing anything. think vaguely we shared a bathroom. And when you think about what I don't know how to do well, I don't know if your dad's listening, he'll laugh, but is share anything. Now you understand why I didn't have to share anything. Now, how does that work with 5 kids, Jake?
Less of that. I mean, especially, so we were kind of paired. So me and my brother my brother's a year older. Then we have siblings, a sister and a brother that are about 4, 5 years older, younger than us. So everybody was kind of paired together until my last sibling, I suppose. But she was the baby, as you kind of pointed out, earlier can happen there. But it was a lot of sharing, a lot of hand-me-downs. It was, but at the same time, very, yeah, I would say it was a lot of hand-me-downs. We'll put it that way, just because my brother was such similar age and 1 year older. Basically, it was more often than not that way, I suppose.
Yeah. Did you share a bedroom with one of your siblings?
Yeah, we did bunk beds and did that all the way till maybe 12 years old, 11 years old.
I can't imagine sharing a room with anyone. I mean, as an adult, I do it, but as a child, I can't imagine sharing at all. And one of the things that strikes me as funny with 5 kids, I remember I was married once before, and that husband was one of 5. And it used to drive me crazy because I would buy some ice cream and it would be gone, in a day or two. And I didn't have to. And I was like, what is going on? And we finally figured it out after a while. I was like, I'm not buying any more ice cream because there's never anything left for me. And he's like, look, in my family, if you didn't eat it on the first day, you weren't getting any. That, makes sense to me. Once it was explained to me, makes sense to me. But in my nuclear family, we'd buy a half-gallon of ice cream. It would last 2 weeks. It just, and we love desserts. My family loved desserts. So talk about things we learned from our families, right? I eat chocolate every day because of my mom and dad. I think so.
See, I think TJ and my brother, we both were kind of only children because of the age gap.
Right.
And so we're both the type that, we get takeout and it's like, I have 1,456 rice in this box. We write it on the top. Like, we're not very good at sharing either because we didn't have to. And for him, my mom was a little older, but somehow through any generation, my mom made it work and made it so we never wanted for anything, which as a parent now is kind of daunting. Like, how did she make it look so easy? Like, how I got a lot of hand-me-downs, luckily, from people she worked with who knew she was doing her best. So getting clothes from like older teenagers, like you said, I was like, oh, I'm cool. You guys don't have this stuff. You guys don't have access. So, but yeah, no, we're not good sharers here in this house either.
And I want to ask you guys this too. So one of the things I love to do, I would eat out every single meal of my life. I love eating out. Now, I was just thinking about this. It just dawned on me whether that might be partly because my mom was not the best cook, but we ate at home all the time. We didn't have a lot of money. I would say we were, whatever, middle of the road, but my dad was a saver, right? Remember we were talking about spenders and savers? So my dad and my mom were both savers. We ate out once a week at Roy Rogers. Anybody remembers of Roy Rogers? I don't even know if you had him in Nebraska.
The hamburger bar back in the day.
Oh, yeah, the hamburger bar where you put your fixins on and everything. So that was the big day out, and we'd go to Baskin Robbins. I mean, I probably ate 2,000 calories in the space of 3 hours as a kid, but that was the only time we were allowed to eat out on a Sunday, and that was after church, thank goodness, because that was my reward for going to church, which I didn't love to do. So I love to eat out, and I don't want to eat at home. And I don't know for folks who ate out more often growing up, do they enjoy eating at home maybe more than eating out? I don't know.
Yeah, for me, with my 5 siblings, we didn't eat out hardly ever. So my grandma would sometimes take us out, and that would be like a big deal. Like, oh my gosh, we get to go out and eat and go watch a movie or whatever.
Right.
So it was very rare. And then when I got on my own, I was like, I'm eating out every day. Right. This is awesome.
This is awesome. Yeah. No dishes, no cooking, no whatever. Yeah, exactly. All right. So you can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if we have the same experience because of not eating out a lot growing up. I don't know. What do you think, Aniko?
It sounds like you guys would have the same experience, but for me, again, my mom was commuting 2 hours from Maryland to DC, there and back every day. So when she got home, the last thing she wanted to do was cook. So we ate out and took advantage of, kids meals often, but because I was kind of a latchkey kid as I got older, one of the things I would do would experiment with cooking. Like I always wanted to give her, I had this idea of giving her a home cooked meal to come home to. So I experimented often early. And now Nate, my son, wants to be a chef because we cook at home all the time together. So I think it gradually changes. You always have the have and the have nots, and it kind of spins around the older you get.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept of just the haves and the have-nots. And it's certainly more acceptable to eat out, I think, in the current generations than it was in ours. So maybe we'll take a break. This is Walk the Herd with Aniko, Rebecca, and Jake, and we'll be right back after this break.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, and family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Pearson cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetable, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Pearson cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyd Farm Outfitters. Farmers, the Nebraska Ag Expo is coming up on December 9th through 11th at the Sandhills Global Event Center, and we'd love to see you there. Our team will be in two places at once, in the Boyd Farm Outfitters booth and the Green Eye Technology booth, which are both in the Currency building. In the meantime, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X at BoydFO to see what we've been working on. Again, that's BOECKFO on social media. We look forward to seeing you at the Expo.
Staying profitable means finding smarter, more efficient ways to farm. Those decisions turn hard work into something worth passing down. Join us at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln for the Nebraska Ag Expo on December 9th through 11th, where agriculture meets innovation. From big iron and livestock production to the latest in ag tech and soil health, discover the solutions that can help you do more with less and protect your legacy for generations to come. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Dana Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Dana Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Dana Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at danatrucking.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT, from cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
The top-ranked Nebraska volleyball team is trying to play its way to the Final Four in Kansas City. Make your plans now to cheer on the Huskers with a VIP travel experience from Sports Trip and the Nebraska Alumni Association. Travel round trip from Lincoln in a luxury motor coach with free parking, plus an overnight stay at the beautiful Hotel Indigo in Kansas City. See details and register at HuskerAlumniTrip.com. Hurry, spots are limited. Register now at HuskerAlumniTrip.com.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Hi, Sean Callahan.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
And Aniko, Renee. Somehow we lost our new intro in there, but we'll get it all together. Oh, no, that's right. We're waiting for the new intro. But we have your picture on here. So it's Jake, Aniko, and Rebecca Walk the Herd. We're talking about unheard perspectives. So if you've not listened to this show before, we talk about pretty much anything we want to, but it's unheard perspectives. So we try to let you learn about something you might not know about. And that's pretty much it. And we have such a great time. Oh, my gosh, we were laughing so hard off camera here because we were checking out Roy Rogers. So apparently there's still 21 Roy Rogers restaurants in Maryland.
Yep, there's one 15 minutes away from me across the bridge, and I get their breakfast as much as I can, as much as the budget allows. Talking about spenders and savers, ooh-wee, delicious.
Okay, so trivia for you. Jake won't know this, except I just told him this. Do you remember what Roy's horse's name was?
I don't, but I remember being taught that him and his wife adopted many different, like, multicultural children and how important that was.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a great segue into our conversation. So he had a horse named Trigger, and I didn't know he had a German Shepherd dog named Bullet. I don't remember Bullet, but Trigger and his wife, Dale Evans, who and Roy, whose name was not Roy, actually. He changed his name. His first name was Leonard something or other. They had a show, and he was in lots of Westerns. It said he was in 90 pictures here. So the Roy Rogers restaurant set the bar for me for hamburgers. But anyway, so I don't remember them having lots of children in that era, but were they adopting them, or what do you remember?
That's what my grandma and mom told me, that they adopted many after the fact.
Yeah. Okay. So that begins our multicultural, multi-generational segue from Jake's and my nuclear family. You're kind of multi-generational with a bunch of strong women, so we can maybe come back to that because those were the women in your life, I guess, your mom and your grandma still.
And you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. So let's start down the path of, I had no multi-generational. Okay, first of all, my grandparents lived in other states. I saw them twice a year. When I say it's Leave It to Beaver, I'm not kidding. Twice a year, they'd come different times. I had both sets of grandparents for a while, and that's all I saw them for the most part. You lived with your grandmother, and your grandparents, Jake, lived near you?
Yeah, both my grandmothers were in town.
In Nebraska, at least. Okay. Yeah. So what did you learn from your grandma, Aniko?
From my mom's mom, I learned my appreciation for music. We would sit and listen to records and 45s for hours. She was always patient and explained, the Bette Midlers, the Princes, the backstory. And I share that with Nate now. We have a vinyl collection that we listen to often. So she taught me that. She taught me the joy of sewing and taking pride in making your own things. Mm-hmm. And then Dad's mom, Queen Elizabeth, taught me solid strength, like what it's like to be unapologetically you. She did not care if you liked it or not. She was Liz. She was going to bingo. She was going to the store. She was wearing her hat on Sunday. So I got a great blend of confidence from both of them on like what it looks like to build yourself as a woman, and that there were options, that there's not just one type of woman.
Yeah. Interesting. And Jake, it sounds like you didn't have grandpas in your life. You had grandmas?
Yeah. One of my grandfathers passed away when my dad was young, and then my other grandfather was just out of the picture. So we had a I don't even know if you'd call it a step grandfather for a while or whatever it might be.
Right.
But I had somebody in the picture there for a little bit. But mostly it was just my grandmas.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember from your grandmas? Like, do you feel like you learned anything from that generation growing up?
Yeah, I mean, it's still, one of my grandmas is still around. I just talked to her today, so I can kind of continue to learn and learn, pick from the brain about different things that are, like you said, multi-generational and stuff like that. My other grandmother was awesome. I mean, she's one of the few people that I really cared about what she thought about me and the things that I did. So I learned to respect her, and was really kind of the matriarch of our family there for quite a bit of time.
Was she a tough cookie, or what made her the matriarch? And what gives you that perspective about her?
She was just very family oriented, I guess, and so we'd always kind of have Sunday. Everybody, all her kids, which she had 5 kids themselves. So we kind of just had a big family get-togethers, and she was the one that, like I said earlier, kind of took us out to get fast food and stuff every once in a while. So I got to kind of learn that as a kid. And then I'd say she's just, I guess, politically interested. And so, I could kind of learn kind of her viewpoint and different thoughts of maybe an older generation compared to my own growing up.
Yeah, it's interesting when I think about it. The parents, my mom's parents and my grandparents, I had both sets of grandparents most of until I was in my 20s. And my mother's father was an admiral in the Navy. So just to set the stage, it's all very obvious why I am the way that I am. If you know anything about my family, my grandfather was an admiral. My father was a captain. My grandfather would come up and behind me and say, straighten your shoulders and stand up straight. And, and he and his wife were traveling the world. We were learning about the rest of the world all the time because they were constantly on a boat, on a plane, somewhere traveling, right? And of course, very strong leader. You don't get to be an admiral in the Navy without being a strong leader of some sort. So that's what I remember. But also my grandfather was always teaching me to be curious. Constantly. He would try anything, do anything. I can't remember if I've told the skateboard story here. I don't have time to tell it. But anyway, at age 75, he's on a skateboard, skating downhill. It didn't end well.
Oh, no.
He didn't die, but he didn't end well. And, but it's always about being curious and asking questions and staying current with the world. My dad used to grill me on who was president, who's treasurer, who's secretary of state, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then on my father's parents were the salt of the earth, right? His father worked for Southern Railway, which was Amtrak. If you've heard of Amtrak, long before it was Amtrak, right? Just at least in the South, worked for the same company for 50 years. And his wife, my grandmother, was kind of a stay-at-home mom kind of a thing, but they were just these quiet, reserved people. So, but I think about what do I learn from them? I mean, he was super organized. We used to make fun of my father's father about how bloody organized this man was. Again, it's very obvious why I am what I am because my dad became that and then I became it. So that's kind of what I learned from the other generation. What else strikes you, Aniko? What's the next area of family we want to explore?
I'll just piggyback on the great grandparents. I never met my mom's mom, so my great grandma Pearl. But it's my understanding that prior to her passing, that's when there were the big family dinners. That's where, everyone came together and went up to the mountain and for holidays. And after her passing, she was kind of the glue. So once that stopped, a lot of the family tradition stopped and there was no one there to be like, hey, cut that out. So, right. That kind of happens as it happens. But now with Dad's side, I'm getting the privilege of learning about a whole new side of my family that I didn't know we had because I kind of grew up with like a step grandpa too. Mm-hmm. So it's very fascinating to be like, there's more keys to why I'm like this and he's like this. So right. I love the twists and turns of it all.
Yeah.
What do you think that like your family taught you the most that you're like the most grateful for right now, like as an adult, as a semi-parent yourself,
Semi-parent, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus parent, right?
Yep. You get to do the stuff where I don't have a smart mouth and I'm not breaking rules and all that. You got to skip that part. So
I definitely got the better end of the deal. My parents were always teaching me lessons. Again, very, very obvious why I am who I am. My dad would loan me money and then he would write me, he would make me write out an IOU and I would have a payment plan and I would have to pay him back in whatever increments or whatever. If I got myself in debt, then he would loan me money and we had a little agreement. We would both sign it. When he passed away, he left me a shoebox of stuff and there was some of these agreements. I mean, hilarious. So I came from the teaching life lessons, which is why this tonight's show is fun for me because it's, you learn stuff, whether it was obvious or not. Mine was pretty literal and blatant. So I remember that. I certainly remember planning, organizing. My mother had this like filing system for the chores and it was labeled Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. And so, on Monday I'd pull out what my chores were and I had to move the little tab to the back. again, it just kind of built in to some of what I did. So that's where I get my organizing skills, my planning, my thinking. That's how I think about finance. There's a whole bunch of fun things there. And I did have step kids eventually. My parents divorced when I was in school, and they both remarried. And on my mother's side, she remarried somebody who had kids that were kind of my age, so nobody ever young. But I did have that experience later in life, but I don't think it really shaped, who I was. And for me, I don't know, Jake has this, and we all have this. We have some level of ethnicity that entered our lives over time. And maybe I'll let Jake talk if he's game for it, because I was born in the Philippines, and I don't have dual citizenship or anything. But other than that, I'm very, very white, and the family is extremely white. But Jake, you married a lovely Filipino named Maria.
Yeah, that's right. So, we got married just a few years ago. Have a son, another child on the way. So we're off to a good start there. And it's different. I've been to the Philippines a few times. Hopefully someday I can get dual citizenship as well. But, just very different cultures. And but I think it kind of it's a lot of fun. It's fun to go over there and learn. And I think that, at least for me and my wife, again, you never know with millions of other people, but our cultural differences never got in the way or anything.
Yeah. What did you find cool about the Filipino culture? And I mean, obviously you guys have incorporated stuff from both your cultures probably in your family life. What are some of the good parts and fun parts of that?
Well, they started celebrating Christmas in September.
Woo!
So they pride themselves in the world's longest Christmas. And I'm a little bit more of a Halloween guy, but I really like Christmas, so I can get into that. I'm obviously a huge sports fan. They really love the NBA. So I can kind of appreciate that. And also, when I went over there, I realized they play a little bit different of a style. So they were impressed by my style of play. So I appreciated that as well. It's just, they're very, very, very kind people. They really take a lot of pride in what being Filipino. And so together, like if they're, we have communities here in Lincoln, Phil-Am communities, Filipino American communities that get together. I mean, I've got, 2 or 3 Christmas parties that they set up here in Lincoln and Omaha. So they like to stay connected, stay close. And again, just much like Nebraska, it's just very kind.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of the amount of lumpia you get, Jake.
I know.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Are you getting fresh lumpia at home or not?
Pancit, all the good things. We have a large Filipino population here too.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff.
What's your favorite meal or food that Maria has brought to you some way, or the grandparents have brought to you or somehow?
Yeah, she makes a sinigang for me almost weekly now, which is a soup we have. And I tried it once or twice. I thought this might be the woman. So very good stuff.
She figured out the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, kind of a thing. All right, what's in that? I don't know that food. So how do you spell it? Can you spell it?
I don't even know if I can spell it. I can look it up. It's funny because when I first heard of it, I went around and I was telling everybody, yeah, it's just this vinegar-based soup. It's really good. You have to kind of like that thing. And then after a few months of her hearing me tell me that, she goes, "There's no vinegar in the vinegar." I go, "Okay, well, never mind. I don't really know.
I don't know what I'm talking about."
But yeah.
Is there meat in it?
There is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's rice and vegetables and meat. And I mean, that's not really narrowing it down. I can look it up and probably do better than me.
It's almost like their version of a gumbo, kind of would be maybe.
Have you ever met people that are just meat and potatoes and don't want to try anything different? And you think, what are you missing, right? You have, and whether it's Filipino food or some other country, you don't get that exposure sometimes, right? If you haven't had it through your family or somebody hasn't made you go try it.
Yeah, it's all different kind of vegetables. I had no clue. Like I thought we were just kind of taught, okay, this is what I know,
right.
10 or 15 different ones. And you go over there and it's like, okay, I've never seen any of, some of this stuff before.
Right. I'm trying to remember how I first had ethnic food, because I don't even like American food. All I want to do is eat, I'm going to call it ethnic food, non-American burgers and steaks and whatever. That's like last on my list. I always want something from another country. Of course, I had a global job forever. So when you talk about it, I have eaten authentic from 100 countries probably over time. I've eaten real authentic food from all of these countries. So I don't know. How about what did you notice, Aniko, between like Grandma Liz and Nana?
Soul food from Grandma Liz.
It's the best.
I will say though, Nana does include fatback in her green beans as well. So
The only way to cook it. Yeah.
there's no shame in swine in our household. So, but love as the focus and main ingredient either way. Like nothing was ever made like, oh, here's this. It was always a joyous thing. But I'm telling you, soul food is something different. I don't know if you would consider that ethnic, but I do. And it was glorious the first time I had it.
Me too. Yeah. So the first time, I think my exposure, even though I would say that a lot of soul food is Southern, right? I think it could double in many cases just being Southern. My dad was born and raised in Atlanta. So we did have some of those Southern foods. I had greens when I was younger, but nothing like soul food greens, right? These were just Southern greens. And when my friend taught me how to make it, it was with fatback. And I was like, okay, what is that, right? We'd have spoon bread and some things like this. So I think, yeah, absolutely. I think that's a cultural thing. So one of the benefits of having a multicultural family is just exposure to different types of food. And you don't know what you're missing, right?
Definitely. And I think even if you look at the history of the South, there's a reason why those foods are similar because who was cooking them? You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing to have the good, like we're talking about on this episode, the good parts be passed down and the good parts that brought joy, comfort, connection being passed. So I think even tying back to what you said about like getting treats after certain things, I do the same thing with Nate, like with good grades, or if he gets a shot, it's like, let's go get some ice cream. Let's go get a milkshake. Let's do this thing. And that was kind of passed down. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's a thing.
Take a break and we'll come back and talk about reward systems that come through our families because I think it very interesting thing to explore. All right, this is Walk the Herd with Aniko, Rebecca, and Jake. We'll be right back after the next break.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Don't be fooled by the typical holiday ads this year. A new car for your significant other is a dream, but not a likely reality. Why not upgrade the current car you have with a detail? This year's hot item is a gift certificate from Nebraska Auto Detail to make your car look and smell fully refreshed again. We all have clutter and we all make messes, but it doesn't have to stay like that. Give the gift of a clean car this holiday. Buy your certificate at NebraskaAutoDetail.com or call 402-601-5086 for an appointment today.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Ready, set, forward. Just announced 0% for 66 months with approved credit on all 2025 Ford F-150s at Zollner, Fort Beatrice. Save thousands in finance charges. If your current pickup loan's 4, 5, 6% or more, trade in today and receive 0% for up to 66 months on a brand new 2025 Ford F-150 of your choice at Zollner, Fort Beatrice, Nebraska's volume dealer with the hometown service you expect.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time. Which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
This holiday season, bring home a tradition that tastes like celebration. Beatrice Bakery's world-famous fruitcake, baked in the heart of Nebraska with rich golden batter, real cherries, pineapple, crunchy nuts, and a splash of old-fashioned goodness. It's moist, flavorful, and crafted the same way for generations. It's the fruitcake that turns skeptics into believers. Find Beatrice Bakery Fruitcake online at grandmasbakeshop.com or at your favorite retailer, and make your holidays deliciously unforgettable with the help of Beatrice Bakery's world-famous fruitcake.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
All right, this is 93.7 The Ticket, Walk the Herd. Aniko, Rebecca, and Jake, we're having a blast talking about our families and all our crazy things we do and all the great stuff that families teach you. And right before the break, we were just kind of teeing up the concept of reward systems, and we were talking off air a little bit about allowances. Maybe that's a good place to start. You were just talking about, buying food or some kind of gifts or whatever. My dad certainly did that. I had an allowance, and then my dad would incentivize me for getting good grades. I got things like jewelry and I don't remember what else, but we got incentives for good grades sometimes, not all the time, but definitely had an allowance. And Jake, you said you had an allowance, sort of.
Yeah, we used to do chores and get money for like mowing the lawn. I think as there became more kids in the house, the less the allowance became a thing. So then I started just mowing the lawn because it was a chore instead of getting money for it. But we got money for the tooth fairy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Are you going to pass that on in your family? Did you like that tradition or no?
Yeah, I did. I mean, my son's really into Christmas and all that right now. So, I mean, the Santa Claus debate, not that we want to get into it here on public radio too much.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't. It was something I always kind of wondered about. And now my child has so much fun with it. I can't take it away from him.
Can't take it away from him. Oh, gosh. And he believes in the Easter Bunny, too?
Oh, well, he's going a little bit. He's still learning stage on those sort of things. But.
Well, he's smart. He's figured out that Christmas starts in September.
Yeah, that's right.
But it is, as kids, and you both have young children, right? I don't. I didn't have anybody to mess up, thank goodness. I was terrified of messing up a child. But, kids learn a lot by watching and whatever we were taught. So, again, back to reward structure, I was taught money was a reward for doing certain things, regardless of what it was. So, and Aniko, what are you thinking of when it comes to this kind of stuff?
I used to get $20 an A from Nola Jean, my mom's mom. So I made a pretty good standing growing up. And then as an only child for the most part, right, I did get an allowance, and then it kind of turned into like getting paid or making sure I had money in my account as a teenager for watching my brother for babysitting. So I did get paid as a babysitter, even though I was a built-in one. So shout out to Tina for that, because that was always awesome.
Yeah.
But like I was saying before the break, food was always included as well. Like we would go to Red Lobster or this old place called Chesapeake Bay Seafood House for graduations and, promotions and things like that. So going out to eat at a sit-down place is still something I go to after Nate achieves something, but he receives an allowance as well, with the stipulation that, like, if I have to tell you to do the dishes or take out the trash, I'm taking $1 or I'm adding it for tax. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to teach some of those skills you're passing down.
Yeah. Well, it would be great to sort of look back and say, do we think that taught us anything? So Jake, you get to go first. Do you think those kinds of things that your parents taught you affected who you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, it again kind of gives you accountability, help out with the team, all that sort of stuff. So, obviously wasn't my favorite stuff at the time, especially when the pay started to decline. But it was, it is good. Yeah, I think it was a good deal.
You think it was good? You would do it again with your son when he's old enough.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay. How about you, Aniko? Do you think it was good?
I think it's good for the most part, but I do find in employment, when I'm not getting paid fairly for the amount of work I do, I am kind of quick to speak up and say so, which can be not people's favorite. So, but it's there, it taught me good bargaining skills and and how to describe the amount or workload of what I'm doing and why it's deserving. So it's a catch-22 kind of.
Did either of you ever negotiate with your parents for more money?
For me, that wouldn't work. So,
okay, why is that?
My dad just, I mean, that just
Not
wouldn't
having
happen.
it.
Yeah, not
Not
gonna
having
happen.
it.
Yeah.
And Aniko's like, yes, of course I did.
Yeah, she kind of let me shine with the prospect that I may or may not become an attorney later in life or a politician. So she kind of let it rock. She just was like, all right, girl, go ahead. You have 5 minutes. Here's your soapbox. Go for it.
I believe I artfully felt like I was manipulating my dad, but probably he was smarter than me and knew what I was doing. You know, I was like, maybe I could get something if I do good grades this semester, whatever. Because I was kind of, I was kind of an okay student. I probably should have been a straight A student, but I didn't love school or whatever. I think he must have seen through that. My dad was a pretty sharp cookie. But in general, I'd say that was good. I bet you we have listeners, and we don't have time for it for this show, but I bet you we have listeners thinking they don't agree with some of this stuff, which is why we love this show, because these are our perspectives and what we think, how some of these great things about our family shaped our lives. There's probably somebody out there who has not such a great story about some of that stuff. And these are the ways we grew up, and maybe explain some of the things of why we do what we do. All right, great show. Shout out to the Lady Huskers again. Awesome volleyball season. Go Big Red. This is Walk the Herd. Aniko, Rebecca, and Jake will be back next week.